Hey everyone, today's video is a little different. So this is something that I do at work. So this is one of the presentations that I've been doing these days. And after I am done with the presentations, I've realized that there's a lot of things that people could look back into. Some things that maybe you want to share to other colleagues or whatever. So for those reasons, I wanted to make a video, and it just happens to be that YouTube is the best way to share videos. And I'm posting back. I'm trying to get back on posting on YouTube anyways. So this is perfect. So I've slightly changed the presentation to be more general, and so that it feels more like an intro to AI kind of thing rather than getting into stuff that are more well articulated or more technical, like those kind of things. So I'll try to make, when I try to give presentations, I try to make it more conversational, which is why I've named it Conversational Workshop. My last presentation that I did for one of my departments at my internship, which is WCBNS, it went quite long. It was more than an hour because the people I was interacting with were really good and they were very curious. They had questions, they had feedback. So that's what I'm looking for when I'm giving a presentation. And I will be sending this video out to a lot of the people who have seen me giving presentation IRL. So I'll just, after every presentation, I'll be like, yo, there's a video if you want to see, or you want to share, you want to get back to, whatever, right? So let's get into the presentation now, or the video now. So the first thing that I want to talk about is why AI matters. So before we even start talking about the intricate things, why do we even need to talk about AI? What is AI, right? So the first thing first, AI can save a lot of time on routine work. What this means is that what AI is meant to do is not replace us, but replace the menial task. So a lot of my colleagues in WCB, I have seen them do a lot of the tasks which could be done autonomously by some sort of workflows, which would save a lot of time, because these people are not just WCB, but generally speaking, the whole workforce is more made up of people who are doing very diverse work in their field. This is something that cannot be generated, or this is not something that can be done by any machine, at least not for another good decade or decades even. And these kind of people who are doing these jobs that actually matter should not be wasting their time making a presentation, or should not be wasting their time writing an essay or writing a 5-page sales packet or email, like those kind of things, right? So that's where AI comes in and takes that kind of load off of people. That's how I look at AI. It's more of a tool that is meant to work with us, which is why Microsoft named their AI like Copilot, because it's like Copilot. It's not like a fully autonomous pilot or a pilot who works without you. It's like a Copilot. So that being said, the next thing that we need to look at, all the things that are in the slides are things that you can look at and you can read to get more value out of the presentation. But the real value of the video is where you ask yourself these questions. And my job as a presenter who's presenting tomorrow, what I think about is I need to ask the best questions possible. And I need to get that curious mind in the audience. You know what I mean? So what I'm looking at is I'm trying to get these people to think about this after they leave the presentation, or just be more curious, see if it could help you, or even if not, just be aware of what's happening. So that being said, mostly you wanted to take away from those tasks that you don't want to do, and which will save you more time so that you can focus on your real task. Or you could be more creative, you could take a walk, you could spend more time with your family, all those kind of things, right? So that's how I look at AI. The next thing would be a question when I'm giving a presentation. There's a lot of people in the room, so I like to see where we are at with the room. So I would see how people use AI, how often they use it, these kind of questions. And after which I try to tell them, these are stuff they already know, but I just try to reevaluate everything and just tell them again, these are the things that AI can do, which it does really well. And these are the things that you can have AI do and not get in trouble for. Or a better way to say it is not lose the human touch. So drafting a page, or summarizing, or translating things, or comparing stuffs, or helping you brainstorm ideas, these things can be done with AI, and you're not really losing any human touch out of it, right? These are the menial tasks that you want someone else to do for you, basically. What the AI cannot do is truly know your business. And when I say truly know your business, this is not just for businessmen or entrepreneurs. It's more for everyone who's working IRL, like a real job. What you're doing is way more important and way more difficult than anything AI could ever do. What you're doing, one of our colleagues in WCBNS, I'm not going to take his name, but he goes out there and talks to hundreds of people. And within a year or 6 months, he talks to thousands of people, right? This is not something that AI can replicate yet. The human touch, actually like understanding feelings, that these kind of things are what are truly important, right? So you as a worker who is well diverse in these kind of things should be focusing on those kind of things, not writing a freaking email. Why am I writing an email, right? It's just stupid. But that being said, a small email, I'm not shitting on what we already do, but I don't want you to write a 100-page email as compared to you can go out and talk to someone, or you can actually impact someone's life. That's the way I like to look at it, basically. So next thing is human review is always essential. Obviously, if you're using AI, summarizing, doing whatever, you need to skim through or read through if you have time. The next thing is Microsoft Copilot for workplace tasks. So the reason why we have this slide is because a lot of the corporate world, or a lot of the corporations, businesses these days mostly use Windows, which leaded them to use Microsoft, which leaded them to use Copilot, which is Microsoft's AI. It's well integrated with Excel, Word, everything. Basically, the whole ecosystem is fulfilled. So companies rather use these Microsoft-based products rather than what's the industry standard or what's the best, which is totally fine. I personally, out of work, would not use Microsoft Copilot. But that being said, the time that I have been using Microsoft Copilot for work, amazing, actually. It's really good. I use it to code, mostly out of work. But when I was forced to, well, not forced, but when I was told that this is what we use at work, and I started using it, and I really see the value in it. It's really good. It has gotten way better because I tried this 2-3 years ago when GPT was out, and I was like, oh shit, Microsoft has one of their own. So I was trying it and it was really shitty at the time. But now it has like caught up. I would definitely use Copilot over GPT even outside of work. It's really good. That being said, there's a few things that I wanted to mention before was drafting emails, getting meeting notes, summarizing documents. These kind of things should be done with AI. More on the meeting notes. So I wish I could show you the tracker that I actually had that I show in my work. I cannot show it because it would violate some company policies, because my project, it depends on a lot of departments within my work, which would impact the clients and stuff. I cannot show that, but what I want to say is it's like a tracker. So what I have is when you go into meetings, this is something that most of the people who work would have to go through. Any meetings you go to, try to take transcripts of it. So what that means is if you have an iPhone like me, you could record the conversation and voice memos. I'm using this for the audio today, but if you record your voice memos in your iPhone or any kind of recorder, you should be able to copy the transcript from it and take this transcript, put it in a doc, Word, Google Doc, whatever you like. Run that through your AI of choice. If you're working at a corporation like me, where you would need to use a certain AI, then you should definitely use that. That being said, you can upload this meeting transcript to this AI and have another tracker for yourself where you list your projects out, and this particular meeting that is for project 1, let's say, you just take this docs link and you put it under project 1. So whenever 5 months later, when your boss is like, yo, what happened to the project 1? And you're like, oh shit, I forgot the project 1. What even was project 1? You go back, you're like, oh shit, I have the meeting notes. Take the meeting notes, put it in AI. You're like, yo, what was the project 1? Tell me what's wrong. Why is my boss asking me about this? And then you can just run it back through your memory, right? And it's way easier to remember the things. You can articulate it, you can use it better, and you can articulate the stuff you have in project 1 better to your boss, which would increase the efficiency that you have. You wouldn't have to go through the mental, you wouldn't have to use your brain again and think from the start of project one, but you can just go back to your tracker where you all have all of your resources there with the meeting notes, so that you can just put everything in AI and just ask it any question that you don't understand, basically. This goes well into the next point, that was any kind of AI is a co-pilot. It's not an autopilot. So you are the driver still. You need to steer the car, even though it has the Tesla freaking auto car, whatever that is. You need to still be on the steering. You still need to look out for people doing weird shit. You need to review it, and you need to like, yo, we're going there. Boom, hit the gas. You still need to do that. So make sure whenever you use AI, you don't just let it do all the work and just get it out, just submit that thing. No, you need to review everything. You need to approve everything. You need to see if it's to your liking. Because when I'm writing a report or when I'm writing an essay, let's say I'm doing some research for a project, with AI, I can research hundreds of websites, hundreds of PDFs, right? But if I just take that and just to submit it to my schoolwork or my work, whatever I do with it, it won't be the best, obviously, because I'm submitting something that's done for me. I haven't even taken a look at it. But if I do take a look at it and I'm like, yo, this is something we can do better. Maybe instead of 100 PDFs, we need 200 PDFs. Maybe instead of 200 PDFs, I need 5 PDFs of 2026. These kind of things are what make the use better. So just having the best AI won't really help you do great things if you don't use it, right? So with great powers come great responsibility, as Uncle Ben said. Next thing is NotebookLM. My manager really likes NotebookLM, Paul, and I used NotebookLM for school once or twice. But unlike a general chatbot, what NotebookLM does is that you upload your resources into NotebookLM, and then you ask it questions about it, or you can use it to study as well. But basically the idea behind it is that unlike a chatbot, this is a focused chatbot that heavily relies on the resources that you give it. So if you have any kind of instance where you are like, yo, I cannot use a normal chatbot, I need someone to the best way to explain this is, let's say I have a PDF and I need to maybe work on this PDF. I need to maybe look for questions in this PDF, whatever, right? So it has 100 pages. I don't want to read it. I have work tomorrow. But there's this guy called Tom who is free. So I give him this PDF and I'm like, yo, Tom, you need to study this PDF for 100 years, know everything by heart, explain everything, every term, every word. That's basically NotebookLM. I put in this PDF and the tool reads it through and through and it knows it by heart. And whenever I ask it any questions, it answers in close to perfection. It could not get better than that, basically. So it is very helpful when you want to use a certain resource to do some sort of task and you don't want to get influenced by outside information. That's the best way to put it. Another thing about AI security is very big these days, because why not? You need to make sure that whenever you're using AI for schoolwork or work, you only use approved tools, methods, and the things that are allowed, basically. Because if I go into let's say if I do a homework that was not allowed by, there's a reason it's not allowed, right? And could you get help? Sure, why not? When you're studying, you could use it for help. But uploading the whole thing in the homework into AI and just getting one PDF back and just putting that back in, submitting that, would not be the best idea, basically. Always check your company policies before sharing data. When in doubt, ask IT or security, and treat prompts like you would emails. So these are very self-explanatory. One thing that you might not understand might be the prompts part, which I have another slides on prompts, so that should be good. This is another question I like to ask when I am in a room full of people. What is the biggest concern? They give me a lot of concerns and then we read it through, we talk about it, we laugh sometimes, and that's how it works. So a few things that you should never put in AI is your password. These are, again, simple things everyone should know. I just like to say it again and again so that at least the people who watch this video or the people who are in the presentation when I'm presenting don't do this, right? So client data, obviously not. Password, obviously not. Account details, obviously not. One way I like to explain this is that, let's say you're in a room full of strangers if there's a certain thing, I wouldn't go to a room full of strangers and be like, yo, my name is Grish, this is my account for my Netflix, and this is my password. Stupid, right? So basically, it's just that don't ever put your personal data into your AI. Besides that, confidential plans, financial, and HR information, this is mostly for work because this presentation is based for work, and I have seen that a lot of people in the workforce currently are not very well versed in AI, which is because it's new, but there's a lot of people who are curious and who just want to know about this, which is why I wanted to put this video online if this video finds you. So besides that, never paste any documents that you don't want to make public. That being said, a lot of companies these days have their own copilot. So what they do is so basically, let's say there's a box, and this box is the copilot AI for your company. And these companies buy little boxes, and whatever information you share to this particular box stays in the box. So you don't lose any kind of information, you don't lose those kind of things. But you have to make sure that your AI that your company has asked you to use is something like that. So if your work has a preferred AI, and they have gotten the subscription for you, it would be almost, it's like unuseful to not use it. You know what I mean? Like, they have paid for the subscription, and if you're not using it, it's wasteful. That being said, the next thing is anything that would be risky in public, just don't paste it in public AIs, not the work one. And the next thing I wanted to talk about is API. APIs are something that are very important. So I wanted to explain this as simple as I can. API is like a key. It's not like a key, it is a key. It is a key, and you never want to lose this key. If you lose this key, or someone knows your API key, they can basically have access to your session of work or your AI, for lack of a better term. So you never want to lose your API keys. Whenever you see, hey, this is your API key, save it. You should save it in a password manager. Do not write it down. It's like your SSN, it's like your social security number, like that kind of thing. So you don't want to lose it. The next slide is human versus AI task. A few of things that should be done by humans, should be done by AI. If you want to, you could take a look. The next thing is very important. This is something that is a game changer for a lot of people if you don't know what this is. But a lot of people know this nowadays, which is good. I first watched a prompt engineering course on YouTube by this girl. I forgot her name, but I will link her video below. But it's like a really in-depth video that she made, and it really opened my eyes towards prompt engineering. So the idea behind this is that whenever you are prompting a AI or a bot, you want your prompts to look a certain way, your text to look a certain way, so that the AI can best work with you. The easiest way I like to say when I'm explaining this to people is that you're basically talking to a stranger. The more resources you give the stranger, if you want a drink, let's say, and I'm talking to the stranger, can you go get me a drink? If I just say that, he will go and get me a drink, but it could be a drink I don't like, right? It could be something that's maybe I'm allergic to, those kind of things. But if I say, hey, could you please go get me a Coke? Don't just get me any Coke, get me a Diet Coke, because I don't want sugar. Don't just get me any Diet Coke, get me a chilled, very cold Diet Coke, because it's freaking 100 degrees today. Those are the things that makes the instruction better, and the person can help me the best. Similarly with AI, when you're doing any kind of things where you need it to give you a certain result, which is mostly like whenever you're using AI, as long as the more you explain the question better, the more the answer will be better, basically. So the first thing we have to do, I'm getting a little thirsty, is it starts with R, is role. Who AI should act as. So when I'm asking the AI, I'm making a presentation about a structure of a building, because that's outside my window. So I would ask it to act as a civil engineer, or someone who's very well versed in architecture or well versed in buildings, whatever your question is. The next step would be input. So what do you want to work on? Hey, could you act as a civil engineer or someone who's well versed in buildings, and help me get a structure for a 20 or 100-story building, right? So again, this is a very stupid example, but what I want to show you guys is that you should have a role, you should have a input, meaning what you want to work on, and the next thing should be context, as much background as you can. So the more background you give, the better it will be. So I am constructing a building in Halifax, Nova Scotia, 100-story building. That just gives it more background to work on. Maybe we'll look at the weather, maybe we'll look at, maybe this is the perfect time to make a building since it's not snowing like December, where it would be very hard to construct anything. Maybe it will talk about that. Maybe it will say there's a general contractor who is giving a discount for a 100-story building, whatever it could be, right? So context is king, it's very important. Next thing is constraints. So remember how I said, yo, please give me a drink, but make sure it's not the sugar kind, make sure it's diet. So I'm putting a constraint there. I said, please give me a cold can of Coke. I'm putting a constraint there that the can cannot be hot, which means that when the person is working, when he's going to get the can, he'll give me the cold one because I said don't get the hot one. So these are the constraints that you put in your prompts so that the AI will work the best for you. And the next one is evaluation. So whenever you get an answer back, you look at the answer. It might look really good, but that being said, even if it looks perfect, try to maybe get a lot more iteration. So you could be like, just make sure everything's lined up. I just remembered a few more details. You could do that. You could just be like, could you please finalize it again? As much as you iterate on it more, the answer will only keep on getting better. Well, not all of the time, but mostly the answer will keep on getting better. So what you want to do is you want it to work on it as much as possible so that the final result is the best. So the next part was I show people how to make a presentation, but I wasn't going to do this here, but I could do it, I guess. So what I would do is, this is a simple thing. Most people might already know this, but there's this thing called AI presentation builders where you can build a presentation really easily. So in my presentations, what I do at this point of the presentation is that I show the people a well-crafted prompt with the RISE framework that we just studied about. And I put that in a AI of your choice and ask it to make a well-defined presentation prompt. So one more thing that I want to mention is that you don't even have to know this by heart. The RISE framework, whenever you're working on something, it's the best method would be to show you actually. I'm just a little unsure what I can show you because this is my work laptop. Okay, so these days I've been doing a thing where because I don't like to type necessarily, so I just voice type. It's a good way to show it in the video. So let's ask, I'll do this, so you'll understand as I do it. So boom, allow. Could you please make me a very well-crafted prompt for my Gamma's AI slides? I want the presentation to be about a construction of a building in Halifax. I want the prompt to be very detailed. I want it to follow the RISE framework. I want it to have constraints and all of the good stuff. Could you please make me a prompt that I can put in Gamma and get a presentation out of it? So what I did here was I'm asking the AI to make the prompt for me. So rather than following the RISE framework myself, what I'm doing is I'm asking the AI to follow the RISE framework or any framework and make a better prompt for me, because I would never take out time from my day to write a freaking 200 lines prompt, right? That's just stupid. I would never do that. But what I can do is I can ask AI to do it. So these are the kinds of things you want AI to do it, and make sure that you don't waste your human hours doing these kind of stupid things. So as you can see, I would never take out time of my day to make these many words from my mind and just have it make a presentation. But that being said, when I am making a presentation, what I like to do is I will collect very good resources. I'll do my own research first, and I'll collect all of the resources available, and I'll put that in AI and make sure that my presentation is well up to date with everything, right? So that's how I make presentations. Just for the sake of an example, I went here and asked AI to just give me a prompt. But what I would normally do is I would give AI all the resources myself. And these resources would be handpicked by me. So I know that AI is not really taking information out of thin air and just putting bullshit in. This is where NotebookLM really looks good. Thank you, Paul. And you can use NotebookLM to write the prompt for you. It would follow all of the information in the resource, in the notebook site itself. So you wouldn't be following bullshit information. You wouldn't be pirating anything because you know the resource as well. You wouldn't be faking any data like AI could do sometimes. These are all the things that get better as you prompt it more, as you give it good resources. Again, it's just like an employee you just met today and you're asking it to do things. If I just ask him to go make a presentation, he doesn't know what the presentation is about. He doesn't know what I like. He doesn't know anything about it. So he will go ahead and make a presentation about a tree and it will be shitty because I don't like it. I don't want a presentation about a tree. I want a presentation about a building. So that's how I look at it, and it's more better to give it as much information as possible so that you get a better result. So as you can see here, a presentation is getting built in real time as we just speak. All these pictures, this picture is like a really bad picture. It's like a just AI picture. What I would personally do is switch out all the pictures with pictures that I personally want. I would handpick it from Google or any kind of resource I have. But this was just a way of showing you what is possible these days. Maybe all of you already know this. I just wanted to make a video and it was a part of my presentation. So that being said, I would like to full screen once again. So we've done that. We've made the presentation. We'll take a look at it after it's done. Give AI an identity. So this basically is the starting of the RISE framework. Just telling it to act a certain way, act as a certain someone so that our answer gets better. When you're done with your task or whatever you're doing, if possible, always ask for a few options, at least 2 or 3. And just because when you ask it for more options, you might prefer the second one better. And you can be like, yo, I like the second one better. So it could work more on the second one and give you a result that's even better. Again, following the same thing, reiterating, getting better resources for the AI so that our result gets better. This is one thing that a lot of people use these days is asking AI to fact check itself. I use it sometimes. When you don't know what more iteration you can do, you can always be like, can you please look at everything again, fact check everything and make sure everything is right. More often than not, AI will find something that's wrong in the thing that it just made. And you'll be like, oh man, I just told you to make it. How did you freaking mess that up? But it's helpful sometimes. Another thing is a few practical Copilot use cases. This is something I've already talked about, but mostly in regardless of the field of work you do, most people work with emails. So hence drafting emails with AI is a thing. Summarizing meetings, as I mentioned before, is a really good way to use it. Turning rough notes into first drafts is really good. And helping tidy Excel formulas. And not just that, but tidying any kind of document you're using is always better to do with AI. Whenever you're working on something and you've already worked on it, you can just have AI take a second look, get rid of all the nonsense and just help you do it better. So how to improve your project workflows with meeting notes and specific trackers. So this is what I spoke about a while ago. I didn't realize that I had a slide on it. But basically, when you go into a meeting, recording the meeting and getting the transcript out of it so that you don't really voice record the person. Always ask people if you could record them. If they say yes, you can record their voice, get transcript out of it, save it in your personal document, like a doc file where you're tracking all of your work, so that whenever you need to go back into it or you finish a project, everything you have. So what my tracker personally looks like is that it's named Grish Tracker. Project 1, Project 2, Project 3, that's how I like to name my projects. And Project 1 will be named a certain thing, and then I'll have people who gave me the project or people who I am working with. Let's say Project 1, Tom Holland. Below it would be a meeting that I did with him, just a link to a document file, a Word doc with all the transcripts of the meeting would be there. The next thing there would be any email he sent me. So if I had to look at any files for this particular project, it would be in the project tracker. Anything I need to work with, any files I need to read, any files I need to download would basically be saved there. So in case I need to come back to the project in the future, I can just come back to it and just use it better, basically. So this slide is try one low risk AI task. So I asked the people there to write a prompt with the framework we learned. And more often than not, by this time, I'm already 1 hour, 30 minutes deep or 1 hour deep. So I'm just trying to run through this so that we can talk more. Again, this is a video, so I can't really make it conversational. But even then, I've been talking for 40 minutes. That's crazy. I cannot make it conversational, but most of my presentation, I like to make it conversational. So I have these slides in where we can interact more. This is a five-step flow that you can use to just sort of remind us what we just did. Choose an approved tool, remove sensitive data, clear prompts, review, decide what to use. Simple. The final takeaway is that use AI to speed up good work, not replace judgment. Copilot, not autopilot. Protect data, use only approved tools. Be specific, use the RISE framework. View, review, verify, and then decide. So these are the final takeaways. If you have any questions, you can always drop it down below. But most of the people that are watching this should be from my work itself. So you can also DM me in Teams chat or wherever you prefer. But after this, there should be another slide. I guess not. But at the end of the presentation, what I like to talk about is, I'll write it down. So what I like to talk about at the end of the presentation is interesting AI stuff. So if I have extra time in my presentation, which I don't normally, if I do, I like to talk about interesting AI presentation. One of the things that I will leave you with here today in 15-20 seconds is OpenClaw. It's something like an AI agent that basically can live independently on a computer. You can buy a Mac Mini or any kind of computer. You can have a personal AI agent on it that just uses that computer, and you can just text the AI agent on your phone and ask it to make a presentation for you, ask it to do stuff for you. Just wanted to leave you with that so that if you do have a curious brain, you are like, yo, what the hell is that? There's another video on my channel if you want to look at it. A very stupid video. I made it last Wednesday. I had nothing to do. But that being said, this video has been a very long one. I did not realize it was so long. But if you're from WCB watching this, I'll see you at the office. Thank you.